soil and all that. Help us to understand, is there disinfection, massive disinfection going on around Mokwa that axis?
I think we've lost connection with him. Well, let's speak to you, Mr. David. Yes. Let's talk about the real issue behind this now, which is climate change and Nigeria's response to that. We see that Nigeria may be lacking behind the response to climate change and reducing these gas emissions that may be causing this rainfalls and, you know, that result in flooding. How would you say the government should, you know, respond better and faster to this emerging challenge?
So, as a matter of fact, Nigeria's contribution to greenhouse emissions is very small. It's actually very, very small. We are contributing nearly, you know, very insignificant amount of greenhouse gases. But we will not say that that is not contributing to the overall global emissions, you know. As we know, even the entire Africa contributes just barely within 3 to 4% of the global, you know, greenhouse gas emissions. So what we need to do on our part, we are not the cause of this problem, but we are very vulnerable to climate, you know, the impact of climate change. And some of the vulnerability is what you're already seeing. So what we need to do is to build resilience. That is climate adaptation. Climate adaptation, building resilience and helping our people, you know, to be so. I just look at the people already moving around, looking for their daily bread already. And I will just say, oh, Nigerians are very resilient. Already they are coming out of, you know, this disaster. So, but it's very important for me to state the scientific cause of some of this flooding that you see. So with global warming, the global temperature is increasing. And from your basic primary or secondary school knowledge, the higher the temperature, the more the rate of evaporation, right? So you have a lot of water moving from the water bodies, from the sea, from everywhere, up into the atmosphere. And that's why what happens now is if it rains, you step out in a few minutes, you don't find anything. Everything is evaporated. So the water gets to the atmosphere and forms as rain. So the question is, why is it not falling down? Why is it not coming? Because of global warming, that process of condensation takes longer. So the atmosphere has the capacity to hold more water. So you have, like, you are talking of 100,000 swimming pools held up there. You know, and that is also causing what we call dry spell. So we'll notice that it takes maybe after 2 weeks, and then when the rains come, they drop very heavy, right? And that's exactly what is responsible for this. But also human cause. Let's talk about our land use. When water comes onto the soil, there is first what we call infiltration. So if your soil is completely bare, there's no protective cover, there are no trees, there is no vegetation, nothing. What happens is that quickly the very strong raindrops blocks those pores, right? So water does not infiltrate into the soil. Everything is on the surface, and that is where you have runoff. So looking at the topography of that place, that community, and many other places, you have that very speed and sharp runoff. And then the drainages that should ordinarily convey this water to a safe place are blocked or too small, and people have also encroached and built very close to it, which is the case in this place. You will see your reporter there saying that the drainage is very small, but when you see the channel where the water passes, you see that allowance that people should have given, you know, there's houses, shops, and all. And that's what led to this level of destruction.
Okay. Cheneme, if you're there, just take this last one from us. Considering the extent of destruction and death, is there massive fumigation going on in that area at the moment to ensure we don't have another outbreak of disease?
There's actually nothing of sort right now going on. People are trying to help themselves by digging the ground themselves, looking for a dead body, and this place begins to smell. There's no form of fumigation going here. There's no form of In fact, even the rescue effort is being done by the locals in this place. So nothing as such. We don't have emergency workers anywhere around in sight. So I think it's proper that those that should be handling this agency should take this into consideration. If not, we might have an outbreak of another disease in this place because of devastation.
Well, quite an unfortunate one there. We must say thank you so much for your contributions on the program this morning, Chenemi. We'll have to let you go to attend to other matters. Thank you so much. Well, back to you here. You've heard from our correspondent. Even the immediate response is low from government and, agencies that should be in it. How would you advise communities to help themselves in cases like this, and also preventive measures? Because we know that some of these people live at the riverbanks, which is prone to these floods. How would you say that government can sensitize them to better protect themselves and also respond when emergencies like this happen?
Every year, NIMET would give the seasonal rainfall prediction. And my concern always is that it's at the federal level. We have a press conference in Abuja, and it ends there. There's some level of downscaling, but it doesn't get to many of these communities. So first of all, we need to map up where are the hotspots, where are the most vulnerable hotspots. So we can consider this community as one of the hotspots, right? So when there is seasonal rainfall prediction and floods are expected, the people must be sensitized to understand that they are at risk. Their lives are at risk. We must get that culture of land use planning. It's not everywhere that is land for habitation. There should be land for farmlands, and then there should be land for settlements. You don't go building a settlement on a flood plain. It is a responsibility of government, urban planning and all, to ensure that people don't build their houses on flood plains, because they are endangering their lives, their livelihood, and everything. And I mean, even the farmlands, we are looking at 10,000 hectares of farmlands on that stretch, because a lot of the people are engaged in sugarcane farming and rice, right? And this flooding is not just the people. We have not checked the impact on the farms, because people are already just making, preparing the soil and planting. All of that is gone. There is no form of insurance for these farmers, so it is the same cycle. And the most unfortunate thing is that they are smallholder farmers. So it is their investment, it is their livelihood that is completely, destroyed.
Now, that brings me to another issue. Let's look at the adjoining states or even community.
Yes.
Now, Niger State is hit. And one state that is very close, that is like a confluence, we actually call it the confluence state, is Kogi State.
Local.
Now, how prepared are these people? Usually when you have this kind of massive flooding, you have almost Lokoja submerged.
Yes.
It happened last year, it happened the previous year. So they're not exempted. Now, are these people really, really thinking that, the other day it was Maiduguri,
yes,
now it is Mokwa.
Yes.
Which state is next? You talked about planning. Not every place is for habitation. You go to a particular place in Lagos State, for instance. That community is on the floodplain. When the Ogun River is released, it overflows that place towards Mile 12, Owode axis, and all that place. Every year it does happen.
Yes.
But we don't seem to understand that you must not build on floodplain. So, can we?
Unfortunately, these people buy this land, and they will tell you they got approval even from government officials to build, which shouldn't be the place, be in the first place. And when you look at Lokoja, if maybe when your reporter is returning, you can pass through Lokoja and see the tons of waste. In fact, the whole of that river, Niger, has been turned into a waste dump. And you see the tons of waste around, the Lokoja axis. And that's why once the rains, we've not even gotten to the peak of the rains. The rains are just coming, and now we are experiencing this. When we get to July, August, what will be the situation? What should we expect? But unfortunately, we still have people who are living at the bank of these rivers, right? And when it happens, all the primary schools around the Lokoja, Abuja Expressway become the homes, you know, for the IDP camps, you know, and then we send our children away. We are talking of out of school children, but this becomes, so, but the issue for me is, this has become annual. And we don't seem to have any plan yet. It will not stop, right? But we should save lives by responding properly and planning properly. And I support you 100% when you call out the state government, because they have a responsibility. Waste management should not be the responsibility of the federal government. Yeah. I mean, simple drainage system should not be the responsibility of the federal government alone, right? Urban planning, is that not the responsibility of states? Why do you allow people to build on floodplains? The best way to prevent disaster is avoidance. And avoidance simply means avoid this place, don't build here, build on higher grounds, and all. A lot of people will talk about all the cultural things, they've been here for several years, but climate is changing. So when we say global warming, we are actually saying global warning. And it is warning to everyone, Nigerians and citizens as alike.
Well, I hope that the right people hear you this morning. Thank you so much for your contributions on the program. It's a pleasure speaking with you.
Thank you so much for having me.
Welcome.
Well, that's our package this morning. We will now hand you over to our Lagos studio where Veronica and the rest of the crew are standing by to continue with the rest of the show.
All right. Thank you, Ashamama Auntie Jesu, for that interview. Right back in Lagos. It's time now for stories that are trending now, and Olamide is standing by to bring us up to speed. Good morning, Olamide.
Good Monday morning, team. How are you doing today?
Good morning, Olamide. How are you?
I'm fine. A lot happened over the weekend.
Yes.
Lots of gist on a Monday morning. I'll take it away.
All right, we're waiting to hear it.